Member for Noosa has the call.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. The complexities within the transference of land ownership and management between two entities is never so apparent than through this bill. The primary objective of the Nature Conservation and Other Legislation Indigenous Joint Management Bill is to provide for the joint management of protected areas on Moreton Island, or Mulgumpin, by the state and the Quandamooka people. In 2019, the Federal Court of Australia made a native title consent determination recognising the Quandamooka native title rights on Mulgumpin. As part of this process, the Quandamooka Yoolooburrabee Aboriginal Corporation, known as QIAC, the trustee under the Aboriginal Land Act 1991, which is the ALA, and the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service, QPWS, agreed to work towards joint management of Mulgumpin on Moreton Island through an Indigenous Management Agreement, IMA. This is a confidential agreement agreed as part of the native title determination process. Mr Deputy Speaker, complex? Yes, with a number of key actions to occur in sequence before joint management of protected areas with QIAC on Moreton Island is delivered. First, the land must be made transferable for it to be granted as freehold for the benefit of Aboriginal people. Then, through a deed of grant, QIAC can be appointed a grantee of the land. Complexities have been furthered, and we've heard a lot of those in the chamber today and yesterday, by the issues raised at the hearings and the adequacy of consultation in relation to the confidential nature of the IMA, which made it difficult for some participants to understand the possible future impacts of the joint management arrangements and this bill. For example, a fifth-generation family-run business operating tourism and recreational services was concerned about the terms of the agreement already reached between QIAC and the state and how the land is proposed to be managed, in particular those areas where general public access may be restricted. With no understanding to the terms of this agreement, businesses are left with uncertainty and confusion in what has already been an incredibly difficult time through COVID. Mr Deputy Speaker, other concerns included confusion over access to land by residents, given the blurred demarcation lines with Brisbane City Council, control of townships and properties. These details need to be clarified, as confusion will only escalate if not addressed while matters are relatively straightforward. The Karingal Landholders Association raised that once the legislation is passed, the Chief Executive of QIAC may be entitled to grant certain leases, agreements, licence and permits, which may threaten their ownership and businesses. Again, clarity and reassurance around these is needed. When this bill came to my committee back in the 56th Parliament, confidential submissions outlined the depth of the concerns, with reports of activities that were not the role of the committee to investigate, and I trust since then these have been resolved through the appropriate channels provided. With every complex bill, ultimately, it is through simplification of the end outcome sought that determines how this can be achieved without detriment to others. Fear of uncertainty can be ameliorated by answering the questions and undertaking processes that are inclusive of all peoples that live on Moreton Island. Mr Deputy Speaker, given the significance of this bill, consultation amongst and with stakeholders and landowners about requirements for the preparation of the draft management plan with additional accessible consultation activities must be prioritised and continue into the future. This bill is a really positive step forward, bringing all people together. However, the journey has been a bit rocky and can continue to be, and while I fully support the intent and the wonderful vision that is seen, the lack of consultation and the outstanding questions need to be resolved. Mr Deputy Speaker, in my community we refer affectionately and with great respect to each other that we are one mob. Coming together united is not hindered by our backgrounds, culture or gender, rather that our disagreements come through our own unique viewpoints. These are to be celebrated. We need to keep working through these, and I encourage all who live on and love Moreton to work on how any differences can be resolved and come together on common ground. To the State Development and Regional Industries Committee, as well as my fellow members of the former State Development, Tourism, Innovation and Manufacturing Committee who examined this bill previously in the 56th Parliament, thank you. To the ministers, departments, all submitters and attendees to hearings, virtually and otherwise, again, thank you. This bill has travelled a very long journey, and may all who are blessed to share this magical space care for it and celebrate it and each other well into the future. Thank you.
Deputy Speaker.